Yo, what's going on YouTube? GZTV here, and to kick off Kendrick week, we are reviewing an album that I've never heard before, and I thought this was the perfect time to get a feel of what 2010 Kendrick Lamar sounded like, have a listen to this record, give you guys insight on what the tracks mean, what I think of the album. So yeah, let's just get it started. Overly Dedicated, sometimes just called OD, is Kendrick Lamar's fifth solo mixtape released on September 14th, 2010, via Top Dog Entertainment, of course, TDE. The cover art features different artists and musicians that have passed away, most of them from drug overdose. These artists include Michael Jackson, Pimp C, Old Dirty Bastard, Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, Kurt Cobain, Sacer, Eric Snow, Dashiell Dash Snow, Robert Johnson, and Bruce Lee. I gotta kind of look at the track list here because Genius has everything kind of messed up. The first song is Growing Apart to Get Closer. Growing Apart to Get Closer is the second track on Kendrick Lamar's first full-length mixtape, the first on the Apple Music version. Overly Dedicated, it samples an obscure 1970s funk record by Bobby Cook and the Explosions titled On the Way. It also interpolates 1978's Hangin' by little-known Australian R&B group Stylus. The track was produced by Tay Beast and features vocals from Jean Aiko, who also released her own version in 2011 titled Growing Apart 2. The remix is the last track on Aiko's Sailing Souls project, with Lamar's fourth verse now replaced the beginning of the song and appropriately closes out the mixtape. Kendrick's version fits with the themes of other songs Overly Dedicated, such as Opposites Attract, Tomorrow Without Her, and Cut You Off to Grow Closer, which is the second to last track on the album. Giving the project some chastic structure, it is pretty well put together of a project. I really enjoyed it. The next song is Ignorance is Bliss, the eighth track, or the second track on the Apple version on Kendrick's first full-length mixtape, Overly Dedicated, is titled after a popular idiom which translates to "what you don't know can't hurt you." Kendrick raps the first verse without taking a single breath. This has become something of a habit for Kendrick, as he repeated this feat on 2010's Lookout for Detox and 2011's Rigor Mortis. According to a 2012 Hip Hop DX article, this is the first track that sparked Dr. Dre's interest in working with Kendrick, and the rest is history. That is where Kendrick really got his name. This album really helped him blow up in the mainstream. The next song is called P&P 1.5. This is an updated version of P&P from the 2009 Kendrick Lamar EP. The song is similar to the original but contains minor variations. Part 1 is nearly identical with a sample of the Roots' 2006 track Clock with No Hands, but after the second chorus the beat changes. Also, Absol begins with the same three lines from before, but the rest of his featured verse is different. The track also contains samples of 2003's Vibrate by Outkast, 1981's Give It To Me Baby by Rick James, and 2000's I Just Wanna Love You, Give It To Me by Jay-Z, as well as a snippet from Martin Lawrence's eponymous 1990s TV show. Next song is Alien Girl, Today With Her. Perhaps one of Kendrick Lamar's catchiest early songs, Alien Girl, Today With Her, demonstrated his ability to appeal to the opposite sex while simultaneously furthering the themes found throughout Overly Dedicated, adolescent love and addiction. This Soundwave-produced track contains a sample from Q-Tip's November 1999 single, Let's Ride. The instrumental was co-produced by none other than the legendary Jay Dilla, rest in peace, one of the best hip-hop producers of all time. Next song is Opposites Attract, Tomorrow Without Her. Yes, this album is very cohesive, and there's a lot of moments like this where tracks bounce off of each other. Opposites Attract, Tomorrow Without Her is about the psychology of infidelity. It is told from both the man and the woman's perspective. The song contains a sample of Go Stetsa, a 1986 track by Stetsasonic. Kendrick would use this sample again on his next project, 2011 Section 80, which I love, on the track Poe Man's Dreams. That's a great song. It also features a clip from She Says She Loves Me by Lamont Carey during the outro. The poem is about marital abuse, which ties into the last lines of the second verse. Next track is Michael Jordan. One of his best best early popular songs. It is very popular. It is very catchy. It's one of the only songs in this project that I've heard before, and it sounds familiar. Michael Jordan is the seventh track on the Overly Dedicated mixtape. It was released as a single on September 14th, 2010, 7 days before the project dropped on September 23rd. This date coincides with the 2-3 wordplay found in the chorus, which refers to Michael Jordan's famous jersey number. Top Dog Entertainment eventually released a music video for the song. This was the first significant step towards mainstream exposure since Kendrick's previous project, 2009's The Kendrick Lamar EP. It's likely that he decided to publicize encouraging remarks made by Lil Wayne following the promotion of J-Rock's 2008 single All My Life in the Ghetto. In the original version, featuring featured a young K-Dot, and he also appeared in the music video, although his verse was absent. Up next was the ROTC interlude. ROTC interlude features Kendrick Lamar's thoughts on life in the music industry on a typical morning in June, just 11 days before what would have been his 23rd birthday, June 17th, 2010. Since the money's not coming as he had hoped, he ponders whether or not he should discontinue his music career and become a drug dealer instead. Thank goodness he stayed in it. The title is a play on the U.S. Army's Reserve Officers Training Corps, a recruitment program typically for youth who want to pursue a military career. Kendrick gave his own backronym during the outro. The chorus of the song was sung by BJ the Chicago Kid and interpolates Bobby Caldwell's 1980 single Open Your Eyes, perhaps most well known as a sample that Jay Dilla used on Common's Delight, released in July 2000. The next song is called Barbed Wire. This is a really good song. I loved Barbed Wire. The whole song is about criticizing the victim's mentality that comes with being black and discriminated. Kendrick is trying to convey the message that even though it's really harder for young and broke black people, you can escape the destiny of killing or fucking other dudes for money like most end up doing. Instead of that, try to build a company or follow your passion as he did with music, and one day your efforts will be rewarded. As we see, he's won Pulitzer Prizes, he's won Grammys. Barbed wire is a metaphor for being black, broke, and discriminated. It's hard to pass through as it is to pass through a barbed wire. Next is Average Joe. The Kendrick Lamar EP, Overly Dedicated, and Section 80 all have Wildfire produced joints. In the OD edition, Kendrick drops commentary on Compton, his near-death experiences there, and himself, as revealed by Punch, TDE's president. Songs like Average Joe off OD was one of the original concepts for Good Kid, Mad City. From an interview between Kendrick and Railroad Hip Hop, Average Joe was made to give insight about how people grew up in Compton. He says that all people are good people, but the Compton environment of gang violence, police brutality, drugs, and women forced kids into the survival mode and turned them into these gangsters. Also, the fact that his father was around helped guide him to make better decisions. According to Kendrick, most of his friends didn't have fathers, and if they did, they weren't active in their lives. There's an interview if you want to go watch it. Next is HOC. Kendrick Lamar talks about his experiences as a non-smoker and how although his music may sound like something a pothead might make, he's far from it. There's an official music video for this song also if you guys want to check it out. Next song is Cut You Off to Grow Closer. Kendrick spits about how he's trying to grow as an ambitious person and experience life. However, there are negative influences in his life that hold him back. And the final song is She Needs Me. It's a remix. It's a remix. Nothing really to say about this track. I actually kind of enjoyed it. It was a pretty nice way to close out the album. But yeah, that is track by track analysis. And overall, I think the 2010 sound, he was definitely inspired by other artists on here. Definitely Jay-Z. For sure, Jay-Z. Jay-Z was a big inspiration. Kanye West was somewhat of an inspiration on this record. Just the big rap titans throughout the 2000s definitely inspired Kendrick Lamar on a project like this. Very cool dedication to all the artists that have unfortunately gotten plagued by the drug epidemic, whatever you want to call it. I don't even know what the terminology is for it, but RIP to all those guys that have fallen to drugs and the artists that couldn't handle, the music industry, you know what I mean? And he definitely pays homage. It's a very dark album, to be honest with you, as a whole. I think it's very well put together, though. He has got some really solid features on here. A lot of the guys that were running with TDE since the start, like Schoolboy Q, Absol, guys like that, the black hippies, the black hippie movement, the high power thing got kind of birthed in this project, and Absol as well. Shout out to Absol for creating that movement. Yeah, I think this is just a really well put together album. It's very Compton-esque. It's very West Coast. It's got some really good instrumentation throughout. Kendrick has some good bars. It really makes you think, in this album, he's starting to kind of develop his pen game a little bit. He's getting better at rapping. But yeah, that's going to do it. This is day one of of Kendrick Lamar week. We have 2 more videos dedicated to Kendrick Lamar. Tomorrow is going to be some speculation on what I think this new album is going to bring. And Wednesday, I'm already preparing an iceberg. I have like 2 more layers of the iceberg to go through and kind of write some notes on. I'm going to be reading off a paper most of the time. It might look robotic, but anyways, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. In about 10 minutes, my Boston Celtics are going to be playing the Milwaukee Bucks in Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Semis, so I definitely don't want to miss that. And pay attention later because we have today's events and we have the basketball recaps and stuff like that. And I have to get to bed by midnight tonight because I have work tomorrow morning for the first time in like a year. But yeah, have a good rest of your day.